Good afternoon, Zimbabwe, and welcome to the Lunchtime News. I'm Prudence Mutimba Nyoka with Susan Masona on sign language. In our first story, Lesotho Prime Minister Mr. Sam Matekane has paid a courtesy call on President Mnangagwa at State House this Friday. The Prime Minister, who arrived in the country yesterday ahead of the 44th SADC summit, held a closed-door meeting with President Mnangagwa. Emerging from the meeting, Mr. Sam Matekane said among issues that were discussed was the need for Lesotho and Zimbabwe to cooperate in the agricultural, renewable energy and education sector. The Prime Minister also said it is key for African nations to work together and ensure trade within a continent before looking beyond. He said Zimbabwe will have Lesotho's full support as the country takes over the chairmanship of SADC. In our next story, President Mnangagwa has implored SADC member states to move away from dependency on donors and the West, but to utilize existing resources and education to unlock maximum value for industrialization.
As has become the tradition with the ordinary SADC summits, a public lecture is delivered, and this Thursday, the incoming SADC chairperson and President Mnangagwa delivered a public lecture to students, industrialists, representatives of regional bodies at the University of Zimbabwe. President Mnangagwa said the founding fathers of the trading bloc delivered political independence, as the current generation should come up with measures to do away with dependence.
A country is built, governed, and prayed for by its own people. This underscores the weighty responsibility we all carry to drive development in our countries from both an individual and collective standpoint. Gone are the days where we depended on people from elsewhere to develop our economies, provide services for our communities, and avail goods for our industries and commerce. The forebearers and founding fathers of SADC fought for the political liberation, the democracy and the independence and freedom we are presently enjoying. This current generation of SADC citizens, yourselves, should take deliberate steps to exit perpetual dependence. It is at such forum that we should identify the goods being currently imported into the region so that our talented innovators and the vibrant institutions and the young generation can lead in import substitution.
The head of state further highlighted that Zimbabwe is ready to share its experiences with respect to educational model, considering that SADC has unique opportunities for success.
Zimbabwe is ready to share experiences of this journey with SADC member states as we evaluate, review, and restructure our respective education model to drive the industrialization and the modernization of the bloc. SADC has unique opportunities that position us for success. We have all the requirements to become an economic powerhouse on the global arena. We are endowed with a rich resource base, resilient and interconnected people, vast arable land for agriculture, a wide array of minerals some we have not discovered, a good climate, abundant wildlife, as well as rich culture. Our task is to unlock value from these diverse resources that we collectively share as a bloc.
President Mnangagwa said member states must revisit their education system to embrace innovators and industrialists equipped with the skills and competencies to produce goods locally.
We must therefore transform the educational space to produce innovators and industrialists equipped with the skills and competencies that develop products to meet the needs of our people. In Zimbabwe, our heritage-based Education 5.0 philosophy embraces research, innovation, and industrialization as important mandates for all levels of the education sector. Memorizing Shakespeare does not produce products or services. We should focus on our God-given natural and cultural endowments to drive development. The appropriate research and innovation are fundamental to the advancement of both our domestic and regional development agenda.
Earlier on, President Emerson Mnangagwa and his two vice presidents, General Retired Dr. Constantino Chiwenga and Comrade Kembo Mohadi, toured the exhibitions and the vehicle number plates manufacturing plant at the University of Zimbabwe.
I'm now aware that our university is producing number plates for the nation. It's a technology we could have in the past. We now have the technology, and it's being based here at the university. And I'm happy that we are doing it ourselves. I'm happy also that the exhibitions show the innovativeness of our young generation. From stand to stand, you could see young people standing there, having produced products that were not there before, but as a result of innovation and allowing our young people to dream, they are producing products for us.
At least 30 institutions are exhibiting at the University of Zimbabwe, and these include government agencies, universities, teachers' colleges, and polytechnics. The University of Zimbabwe had more than 40 products, with some already on the market, to show commitment to the industrialization agenda. Bruce Chawanda, SADC News, Harare.
Government says cultural tourism plays a pivotal role in uniting nations and fostering a sense of unity on the continent.
Local delegates and visiting dignitaries to the 44th SADC Summit were Thursday night exposed to Zimbabwe's rich culture, heritage, and local tradition cuisine at a colorful SADC Tourism Night hosted by the Ministry of Tourism and Hospitality Industry at the Museum of African Liberation. The event sought to bring Africa under one roof, and guests were treated to interactive exhibits of Zimbabwe's rich cultural heritage and culinary journey.
Coming together of people in a big group in a country is a MICE tourism that is a cluster on its own according to our strategy. As well as here tonight, we are celebrating our culture, which is a cluster for culture and heritage, which speaks to our food, which speaks to our dressing, speaks to our music and everything that we do. So music, eating, dressing, laughing and everything is a kind of tourism that brings people together and spend money.
Guests emphasized the important role of tourism in fostering a sense of unity among African nations.
Tonight we are introduced to Zimbabwean music, Zimbabwean gastronomy, Zimbabwean clothes, and Zimbabwean hospitality in its general terms.
For us to share the various cuisines of our countries, the different cultures, is a symbol of unity, it's a symbol of strength, and it's a symbol of united front.
Tonight is tourism night, and so it is about sharing our culture, sharing our music, because we've got a really, really rich tradition of music across the continent, but also just to build the spirit of Pan-Africanism.
Now we take tourism at a higher level, not just what without tourism, just seeing animals and the like. So now we've gone further, we are seeing the issue of sharing food, issue of sharing our culture.
The delegates were also treated to a fusion of traditional and contemporary music, with some taking to the dance floor after being mesmerized by musical performances from various artists. The SADC Tourism Night comes after Zimbabwe successfully hosted the inaugural UN Tourism Regional Forum on Gastronomy for Africa that speaks to traditional foods and indigenous knowledge systems as a tourism attraction. John Nandara, ZBC News, Harare.
A regional child rights seminar is currently underway in Harare, where issues focusing on children's right to education are high on the agenda. We get more from our reporter, Fungai Jechi. Good afternoon, Fungai.
It's a good afternoon to you. Well, the Child Rights Seminar organized by CRINSA, in partnership with other civil society organizations such as Zinecta and Save the Children, which was also attended by SADC Parliamentary Forum, and the government gave a platform for discussions pertaining to children's rights. Focus was on children's right to education in the region, with the Minister of Primary and Secondary Education, Honorable Tolerai Moyo, saying the seminar provides a timely platform to strategize on how to most effectively integrate child-centered approaches across SADC's economic and social-political spheres. He said the voices of children and child rights advocates should be elevated to ensure that the region's collective development plans and priorities are responsive to the unique needs and challenges facing young people. SADC Parliamentary Forum Program Manager for Democracy, Governance and Human Rights, Mr. Shaune Sukurasha, said SADC PF is on the forefront of coming up with laws that protect children. He, however, noted that funding for children's programs should be increased across the region. This is what I have for you for now. It's back to you.
Thank you, Fungai, for that update. We now cross over to the new Parliament building in Mount Hampton, where Tari Manamike is all said by. Good afternoon, and over to you, Tari.
Yes, indeed, Prudence. Thank you very much for that. We are indeed broadcasting to you live from the new Parliament building in Mount Hampton, and I am Tariro Manamike. Since morning, several meetings have been taking place with the SADC Executive Secretary, Mr. Elias Magosi, commending Zimbabwe and the other 5 African countries for holding peaceful elections last year, urging other member states due to have elections to follow suit. Now, the SADC Executive Secretary said this at the official opening of the Troika Ministerial Committee of the organ. And in a speech read on his behalf by Professor Kula Teletsane, who is the SADC organ on politics, defense and security affairs director, he said, in our efforts towards consolidating peace and strengthening democracy and good governance, 6 SADC member states successfully conducted general elections, namely the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Kingdom of Eswatini, the Republics of Madagascar, South Africa, and Zimbabwe. He said all these elections, the SADC Electoral Observation Mission played a critical role in observing the elections based on the provisions of the SADC Treaty, the Protocol on Politics, Defense and Security Cooperation, as well as the SADC Principles and Guidelines governing democratic elections. He added that ministers should congratulate the governments as well as the people of the 6 member states for the successful elections which allow the citizens to exercise their democratic rights as well as freedom of choice. SADC noted that member states, namely the republics of Botswana, Mauritius, Namibia and Mozambique, will also hold their general elections in the next few months. The Ministerial Committee on the organ meeting precedes the Troika Summit scheduled for this afternoon. I am Tariro Manamike, and we are coming to you live from the new Parliament building. As we progress throughout the day, we will be giving you more updates. But for now, we cross over to our Pocket Hill studios where Prudence is on standby. Prudence.
Thank you so much, Tariro. Up next, public transport operators have reassured to uphold order and cleanliness throughout the SADC summit and beyond.
With the eyes of the region upon Harare, which is hosting the 44th SADC Summit, public transport operators have reassured the nation of adherence to traffic rules, order and cleanliness in the city. A survey conducted by the ZBC News in the capital this Thursday revealed a promising display of responsibility by public transport operators during this SADC Summit.
What we have done is to make sure that we instill discipline, continuous disciplining to our drivers. Number one, there is an issue of human error, wrong overtaking, going against way, overspeeding even in town. We are actually telling them to consider, yes, pedestrians can jaywalk, but the driver has to be actually very careful. Number three, our drivers must not actually ferry passengers from undesignated points. That's another issue. Number two, they must respect the enforcement agents. They must comply with the enforcement agents such that to make sure that we do have safety in our roads. The other issue is that we are also continuing to increase our inspectors in the ranks to make sure that we deal with these problems from 0 kilometer. We check for the fitness of the vehicle. We check for the condition of the driver himself. Is he drunk or is she drunk? So these are some of the very important issues that we are actually dealing with.
As AITA, we are trying by all means kuti mushikashika tikuenda kumushikashika tichita ma campaigns ma awareness ekuti vakomana chimbobva mushikashika uyai ma ranks ma delegates edu awane nzvimbo zedu dzakachena uyezve tiri kutsvaira ma ranks edu nguva nenguva kuti ma delegates futi awane nyika yedu yakachena.
The 44th SADC Summit of Heads of State will be held this Saturday at the new Parliament building, with the President Emmerson Mnangagwa set to assume the chairmanship of the regional bloc. Peter Chivima, ZBC News, Harare.
And in business news, the SADC Business Council is on a drive to focus on upscaling trade among member states by increasing production and reducing the cost of doing business.
It's a very good afternoon to you all. Basically, the SADC Business Council, which has seen Zimbabwe taking over through the Confederation of Zimbabwe Industries in terms of its chairmanship, has also outlined the key objectives during its tenure. Some of the key objectives of the SADC Business Council include the need to diversify exports, increase production, and lower production costs. It also emerged during the tour of Schweppes Zimbabwe plant in Harare this Friday that the roadmap will also result in SADC companies sharing ideas, networking, as well as coming up with models towards productivity. From the insights of the SADC delegation that was also touring the plant, Zimbabwe is making a steady progress in terms of increasing production. It also emerged that the SADC countries have further resolved to come regularly to Zimbabwe to see some of the achievements are being achieved, some of the achievements by the country's manufacturing sector. The roadmap is coming at a time when Zimbabwe is enjoying the benefits of maximum investments in terms of recapitalization of companies, machinery and equipment, a move that has further consolidated the growth of the manufacturing sector in the past 4 years.
Thank you, Stanley, for that update. Up next, it's sports news, where after a triumphant debut in the CAF Champions League SAFA qualifiers, Herentals Queens are looking to maintain the momentum when they take on Green Buffaloes of Zambia in their second group stage match set for at Mpira Stadium this Saturday.
The Zimbabwean champions who thrashed FC Angus Ladies 3-1 in their opener are eager to build on their momentum and secure another crucial win. The students emphasized the importance of taking each game as it comes to stay grounded and focused.
We approach every game differently. So the way we are going to apply on the next game is going to be different from this one. And we are going to cite the girls on the issues of overconfidence so that we cannot be found at a fault that we win one game and we lose the remaining 2 games.
It will be a battle of Zambezi as Herentals Queens face Zambian side Green Buffaloes. Green Buffaloes are also seeking to maintain a winning streak after a 1-0 win over University of Western Cape. Meanwhile, 8 teams are vying for a spot in the semi-finals, with the ultimate prize being a berth in the continental finals. Anna Shemrombedzi, ZBC News, Harare.
That's it for the lunchtime news. I'm Prudence Mutimba Nyoka, Susan Masona on sign language in the crew behind the scenes. Stay blessed.